Do you want to create your own custom snowflakes for your layouts but don't know where to start? In this video, I will show you exactly how to build a snowflake from scratch. And by the end, you'll be able to make more designs than you'll ever need. Hi, I'm Lydia. Today we are building that snowflake step by step in Photoshop. But we won't stop there. I'm also going to show you how to turn it into a custom brush. That means you can stamp it, clip papers to it, add glitter, or even grunge it up for a more variety look. The possibilities are endless. Let's get started. Let's start by preparing our workspace. I like to create my snowflakes really big because when we turn them into a brush, the edges can start to look fuzzy if the original is too small. A brush will always look crisp when you stamp it smaller. But if you try to use it larger than it was created, that's when you lose that nice sharp edge. And this isn't just for snowflakes. This same idea applies to any custom brush you make in Photoshop. So let's create a new document that is 1200 by 1200 pixels at 300 pixels per inch with a white background. In the Layers panel, click on the Create a New Layer icon. First, reset the foreground and background colors to black and white by pressing letter D on your keyboard. For this step, I'm going to use black to create the snowflake. This ensures that when we turn it into a brush, it will stay fully opaque and nice and crisp. Later, you can stamp the brush in any color you like. Here is a quick note. If you create a brush using a lighter or colored snowflake, it will behave more like a soft pastel stamp instead of a solid one. Now that our workspace is set up, let's build the center of the snowflake. Now, we are going to build the arms of our snowflake using a simple brush and Photoshop's symmetry feature. In the toolbar, select the brush tool. At the top of the screen, in the options bar, look for the little butterfly icon. That's the symmetry button. And click on it. From the symmetry menu, choose radial. Photoshop will ask how many segments you want. For a classic snowflake, I will use 6 segments, but you can try more or fewer depending on the look you want. Click OK to confirm, and then you can click Enter or Return on a Mac to commit. You can also just click the check mark in the tool options. Now, let's set up the brush. In the brush settings, choose a hard round brush. Set the size to something small to medium. You can always adjust the size as you paint using the left and right bracket keys on your keyboard. So over here, I will just set mine to about 30 pixels. Click anywhere to close the pop-up menu. And also over here, I will set the mode to normal and set the opacity and flow to 100%. Position your cursor right over the center of the canvas, and you can click once to start. Over here, from that center point, I'm going to create the first arm of the snowflake as a straight line. So I will click once in the center, then I will hold the Shift key, move my cursor straight up to the top of the guide, and then click again. Holding Shift tells Photoshop to draw a straight line between those 2 points. So you get a nice clean arm for your snowflake. And because symmetry is turned on, that one stroke is repeated all the way around the circle. Now I can release the Shift key and start adding some details along this arm. Here I want to create a small diamond shape. And so I'll just pick a spot along the arm and click once to add a dot. Then I will hold the Shift key, move a little farther along the arm, and click again to make a straight line. I will do the same thing on the other, and then you can just release the Shift key. And so now I will click and place another dot, hold shift, and click again to connect it. Now we have a nice simple diamond on the arm. But as you can see, we have some extra lines here. We can either use the eraser tool to remove those parts, or we can turn this into another diamonds by adding a line just above the first one we made. And here you can definitely just eyeball where to start the next line. So there is a nice space between them. So I'll just put it right here. And as you can see over here, we don't want wiggly lines in this one. But if your diamond isn't perfectly even, that's totally okay. We're not aiming for precision. Okay, we are just simply creating beautiful, playful details. After all, snowflakes in nature aren't perfect, and that's part of their charm. And okay, I will just put the line right here and release the shift key. Now let's move to the other side of the arm. Click once right here and then press shift key and click again to close the shape. From here, I can keep adding small details along this arm, like probably tiny branches, dots, and short lines. So I will just put some lines right here, and then pressing the shift key, I will add a line right there. And again, from here to here, or you can do it something like this too. You can just create a dot right there and press the shift key and then add a dot right there and then add another one right here. So that way you just create that straight lines all around. All right. So then now I will just create a dot right here and then I'll create right here. And if you don't like something, you can just press Ctrl Z, Command Z to undo. And here, I like the way it looks before, so I will just go to my history panel and then redo it. All right, every mark I add on this arm will be copied to all the other arms of the snowflake. Well, with the snowflake finished, I can turn off the symmetry by going to the tool options, clicking the butterfly icon again, and choose symmetry off. All right, next, let's turn it into a custom brush so you can use it over and over in your digital scrapbooking projects. Go up to the menu bar and choose Edit, Define Brush Preset. Photoshop will open a small preview window showing you Snowflake. Give your brush a name you want, something like Snowflake Brush 01. And then just click OK. Your snowflake is now saved as a custom brush. To use it, select the brush tool again and open your brush list. And as you can see over here, you can scroll all the way down. You'll see your new snowflake brush there. So I'll just click on it and adjust the size. And then pick a color. And you can start stamping snowflakes on your scrapbook pages. If you try to paint with this brush right now, it would look like a solid black streak. To create a snowy background, we need to adjust the brush settings. With your snowflake brush selected, open the brush settings panel. If you don't see it in the menu bar, go to Window, Brush Settings. And over here, first, look at the brush tip shape. Increase the spacing slider at the bottom over here and move it to the right until you can see individual snowflakes instead of one continuous line. And then click on Shape Dynamics and add Size Jitter. Over here, I'm just going to put all the way to 90%. You can put it like all the way to 100, but for this example, I will just put it to 90%. This tells Photoshop to randomly change the size of the snowflake as you paint, giving you a mix of big and small flakes for a natural look. And here also, I'm going to add the angle jitter. And this will create that random angle on the snowflakes. And I will add a little bit of the roundness jitter. So this will look like the snowflake is falling down. Next, click on scattering. Move the scatter slider up. This makes Photoshop sprinkle your snowflakes randomly around your cursor as you paint rather than in a straight row. And here I will just put both axes. Now, as you can see over here, you could check the box for transfer right here. This would automatically vary the opacity of your snowflakes as you paint. However, since I want to show you a specific tip on how to control that opacity manually in the next step, I'm going to leave transfer unchecked for now. Now, let's use this brush on a real layout to create dimension. For my layout, I want to add some real depth. I'm going to create 2 layers of snow, though depending on your project, you might want 3 or 4. So here on this first layer, I want the snow to look like it's falling in the distance. So I will lower my brush opacity. Quick tip, with your brush tool active, you can just type a number on your keyboard to change the opacity. Press 5 for 50% or 7 for 70%. But for this example, I will just use 50%. All right, I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. And using the space bar, move your canvas to wherever you like. Now, in the Layers panel, click on the Create a New Layer icon. We want to make sure that we create our snowflake in a new layer. So that way, if you don't like something, you can just delete the layer. So here, now I'll just click and drag to paint your soft background snow. Whoops. I need to press letter X. So the white will be the foreground color for the snowflake. So now I will just add this snowflake all around. Okay, next, let's add the bright close-up snow. So create another new layer. This time, we want full brightness. So press 0 on your keyboard to instantly jump back to 100% opacity. And of course, if you want, you can make the brush larger by pressing the right bracket key. Click and drag to add those crisp flakes on top. And remember, if you don't like something, you can just press Ctrl Z, Mac Command Z to undo. See how that creates depth? You have the soft, small flakes in the back and also on the front. Now, if you want to save your snowflake as a PNG file, first, in the Layers panel, click on the visibility icon of the background to hide it. And then, in the menu bar, go to Image, Trim, and then just click OK. And then go back to the menu bar and choose Save a Copy. And here you can just name your snowflake. And where? I'll just put it in the desktop for now. And for the format, I'll just put PNG and click Save. And in the dialog box, click OK. If you want to open that snowflake PNG file, in the menu bar, go to File, Open, and there you are, your snowflake over here, and you can open it. And with this one, you can definitely clip pattern paper to it. So over here, I have this pattern paper and drag it to the snowflake document. And here in the Layers panel, while holding Alt Mac Option key, hover over your cursor between the paper layer and the snowflake layer. And when you see this bent arrow, click once. And now the pattern paper has clipped to the snowflake layer. And if you want to adjust the size of the pattern paper, press Ctrl T, Mac Command T and press Ctrl 0 to see the bounding box. And here, press the Shift key to maintain the proportion of the paper. And now you can just adjust the paper right here. Once you're happy, just click the check mark to commit the change. And that's how you clip the pattern paper onto the snowflake layer. Alright everyone, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If this tutorial was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help other scrappers find these videos. I share beginner-friendly Photoshop tutorials over here, so if you'd like to learn more tricks like this, hit subscribe. Thank you again. Have a wonderful day and keep on scrapping.